DeFi has had so much excitement around it in the last year. There's more than $100 billion locked in different DeFi ecosystems. In fact, DeFi is one of the main driving forces behind the recent popularity of Ethereum and many other blockchains. In this video, we'll look at what is DeFi, some popular DeFi applications, how they work and compare them to their equivalents in traditional finance. And finally, highlight the advantages and risks associated with DeFi. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you like to see more videos on various blockchain technologies. Now, let's dive into DeFi. DeFi is short for Decentralized Finance. The term DeFi refers to an alternative financial infrastructure built on top of the blockchain. It uses smart contracts to replicate different services in our traditional financial system. In this context, the traditional system is often referred to as CeFi, short for Centralized Finance. That's because all services in a CeFi require central entities or intermediaries to function. DeFi aims to offer these services in a more open, interoperable, and transparent manner. Agreements are enforced by code running on the blockchain in a secure and verifiable manner. To get a better understanding of all this, let's take some examples from traditional finance, aka CeFi, and see how they are implemented in the DeFi space. The base of our financial system is stable currencies such as dollars, pounds, or euros, and being able to transact using these currencies. From there, we built many other important pieces such as lending and borrowing, centralized exchanges, and insurance services. There are also other aspects such as markets for derivatives, futures, and betting. However, in the interest of time, I will only cover some of these services in this video. I'll come back to the others in future videos. Each CeFi service on this list already has multiple implementations in the DeFi space. For example, we have cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum that you can transact on the blockchain. However, the valuations for these cryptocurrencies can be very volatile. So, if you're looking for something more stable, then DeFi contains decentralized stablecoins. For your lending and borrowing needs, we have DeFi lending pools. As a counterpart to centralized exchanges, we have decentralized exchanges. And keeping with the same theme, we have decentralized insurance protocols to fill in for traditional insurance services. Building these services is not always as simple as throwing in the prefix decentralized. We'll get to that in a bit. Smart contract blockchains such as Ethereum provide the infrastructure on which these services run. A smart contract in this context replaces the trusted intermediaries such as banks with code running on the blockchain. Let's look at some example implementations to understand how these DeFi services work. An example of stablecoin equivalent in traditional finance could be your supermarket or airline points. However, the companies that issued these could at any time change the peg or go bankrupt, making them worthless. In the blockchain world, there are many stablecoins issued by different organizations. Majority of these are backed by US dollar reserves in a bank account, making them centralized. This is where DAI comes in. DAI is a decentralized stablecoin pegged against the US dollar, meaning one DAI should always be valued at $1 US. DAI maintains this peg through a over-collateralized loan and repayment process. This means users can deposit Ether or other supported cryptocurrencies with the DAI smart contract. Then they are able to borrow against the value of their deposits and receive newly generated DAI tokens. The ratio of your deposit to the DAI issued should be at least 150%. For example, you can deposit $150 worth of Ether and borrow up to 100 DAI tokens, roughly equivalent to $100. If the value of Ether falls by say 50% after you take this loan, the smart contract will sell off some of the Ether you deposited for DAI to bring the ratio back to at least 150%. This way, for every 100 DAI tokens issued, there is at least $150 worth of reserves to maintain the peg. And unlike the centralized variants, DAI is trustless and cannot be shut down or censored. If you would like to know more about DAI, let me know in the comments. In the traditional finance system, you can deposit your money in a bank or other financial entity and earn interest. The banks generate this interest by pooling deposits from different users and lending them out to borrowers. Almost always, the interest paid to users is significantly less than what the banks collect from the borrowers. There are many DeFi apps that can replicate this process on the blockchain and remove these intermediaries. For example, you can deposit your USDC stablecoins with a DeFi app like Compound, and the protocol will create a lending pool with USDC tokens from all deposits. Now, anyone can borrow USDC from this pool by depositing a supported asset like Ether as collateral. The borrower will pay an interest for the duration of this loan, and the interest will be distributed proportionately to everyone who provided USDC into the lending pool. Similar to the DAI stablecoin, the smart contract can take care of liquidations should the borrower default or the value of their collateral falls significantly. This is a great example of how smart contracts can easily replace the intermediaries in traditional finance and pass on the savings to the users. Exchanges are an interesting one because behind each trade there is a seller who is willing to sell an asset at a set minimum price and a buyer who is willing to buy that asset for a set maximum price. The CeFi exchanges facilitate this by maintaining an order book which contains a real-time list of all buy and sell orders. The exchange automatically matches buyers and sellers from the order book. Bringing this idea into DeFi in this exact form can be impractical for two reasons. Limited transaction throughput. Blockchains such as Ethereum currently do not have the capacity to maintain a real-time order book. Even if the blockchain had the capacity, then we run into lack of liquidity. There are many tokens on the blockchain, and we may not find enough willing buyers and sellers for each token pair at all times. This is where decentralized exchanges such as UniSwap come in. UniSwap uses pools concept we discussed earlier to replace the need for order books and trusted third parties. For example, say the current price of 1 Ether is 3000 USDC. You can deposit 1 Ether and 3000 USDC or half a Ether and 1500 USDC into a UniSwap pool. Now, anyone can trade Ether and USDC using this UniSwap pool. The UniSwap protocol will automatically adjust the price of Ether to USDC using a mathematical equation. For example, if more people are buying Ether from the pool, the price of Ether will increase relative to USDC. And similarly, if people are selling Ether to the pool for USDC, the price of Ether will decrease relative to USDC. Each time someone trades with the pool, they have to pay a fee. The fees are distributed proportionally to all those who provided assets to the pool. This acts as an incentive to provide liquidity into the pool. There are a lot more intricate details around this, and I'll cover them in a separate video. Because of the way DEXs are implemented, they can allow trading of even less popular assets with limited liquidity. The same cannot be said for centralized versions. DEX applications like UniSwap give us a glimpse of the unlimited possibilities and challenges when bringing certain traditional financial services onto the blockchain in a decentralized manner. There are several advantages to using DeFi apps over their CeFi equivalents. DeFi applications are accessible to anyone without the need for complicated signups or verifications. They are also censorship resistant, and having equal access is very important, especially after the recent Robinhood GameStop debacle. In traditional finance, we have to deal with trusted intermediaries every time we use their service. DeFi services are provided by smart contracts, so anyone can access them without having to deal with the burden or costs of middlemen. Every interaction with a DeFi service is public information, so everyone has access to the same information. And finally, the most important advantage of them all is interoperability. DeFi applications are fully interoperable. This means you can combine one or more services to create a new service. To show how powerful this is, let's take an example. Say you have Ether in your wallet and there are no services offering good interest rates on Ether. You can create a new DeFi service that does the following. First, deposit your Ether into DAI smart contract and withdraw DAI tokens. And then, deposit that DAI in a lending pool and earn a decent interest rate on DAI tokens. And finally, you can also add insurance to protect your funds against certain risks. You can think of each DeFi service as a Lego block, and new DeFi services are built every day by using creative ways to combine the existing ones. Doing the same in a CeFi system requires permissions and continuous support from each individual service. This gives huge advantage to DeFi systems in building financial applications that are impractical in our traditional finance. There are also many risks associated with DeFi, such as smart contract bugs. There were numerous cases where funds were stolen from DeFi applications using clever hacks that exploited loopholes in the smart contract code. Many DeFi apps go through independent audits to minimize this risk, but that doesn't eliminate the risk entirely, as evident from the millions of dollars stolen from audited services in the past. Rugpulls. It's possible for the creators of a smart contract to include a backdoor that gives them access to all funds deposited into the smart contract. The DeFi service in this case is actually centralized. Sometimes a project may include this simply to support easier upgrades or stop the services if they discover an exploit. So, users should always do their own research into the project, team, and how they aim to prevent a rug pull before investing in the service. And finally, scalability. DeFi applications run on the blockchain they are deployed on. So, a DeFi service may become unusable or very expensive to use if the underlying blockchain cannot sufficiently handle scale. This is evident from the rapid rise of fees to use DeFi services on the Ethereum blockchain. Always watch out for fees every time you interact with a DeFi service. This concern is being addressed through planned upgrades to the Ethereum blockchain and other blockchains that offer similar DeFi services at a much lower cost. DeFi is still in its infancy. The open and interoperable nature of smart contracts makes DeFi applications very attractive to unlock new financial opportunities. However, users should always be wary of the risks associated with these applications and always do due diligence. I will do more in-depth explainers on popular DeFi services in future videos, but for now, we're out of time. If you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comment section. And also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you like to get updates for future videos. Thanks for watching. My name is Praveen and I'll see you again soon.